Imagine a terrifying local crime syndicate is um, just completely threatening a college girl's life.
Right.
Like, these are violent thugs running illegal businesses, and they've literally just brutally hospitalized her best friend.
Oh, that's awful.
It is. The police aren't an option. The situation is just completely hopeless. But then, literally the very next day, those same violent thugs are bowing and groveling in apologies.
Wait, really? The next day?
The very next day, their dark businesses are completely dismantled, and they're frantically paying all the medical bills for the friend.
Wow.
And so you have to ask who took them down. Well, it was a 50-year-old man who likes eating ice cream, gives unsolicited study tips, and unbeknownst to the terrified girl is actually her wrongfully convicted estranged father.
It's just such a wild premise.
It really is. So welcome to today's deep dive. We are taking a stack of source material surrounding a short narrative simply titled, Who Was He? And we are going to dissect the incredible psychology at play here.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one.
Same. Because this isn't just a story about a secret identity,
Yeah.
right? We are looking at a masterclass in human behavior, institutional betrayal, and the really agonizing mechanics of trying to rebuild a reality that was shattered by a lie.
Exactly. It fundamentally challenges how we perceive safety and guilt, and even just the people we pass on the street every single day.
Yeah.
The author takes a magnifying glass to the assumptions we make about each other, and they slowly turn up the heat until those assumptions just catch fire.
That's a great way to put it.
Mhm.
So we need to start where the text starts, which is remarkably, almost frustratingly ordinary.
Super mundane.
Right, we have an 18 or 19-year-old college girl in New York. She is raised by a single mother, seems very sensible, and she's just walking to class with her friends.
Just a normal day.
Just a normal day. Then comes the inciting incident. She literally bumps into a 50-year-old stranger on the street.
Ugh.
Her books fall to the ground.
Classic meet-cute setup, almost.
Yeah, exactly. The man apologizes profusely, helps gather her things, and hands them back. And she brushes it off politely, essentially saying, no problem, uncle, and just walks away.
Right.
So why start a story with such massive ultimate stakes with the most mundane urban encounter imaginable?
Well, because it actively disarms you. What's fascinating here is how the author weaponizes our concept of urban anonymity.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I mean, in a city like New York, bumping into a stranger is the absolute baseline of existence.
Sure, it happens a dozen times a day.
Exactly. By grounding the narrative in this incredibly familiar, low-stakes environment, the author's playing a psychological trick on you.
Right.
They are establishing a baseline of normalcy so that when the escalation happens later, it feels incredibly jarring. It's a deliberate narrative smokescreen designed to make you drop your critical faculties.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right.
Because if I'm putting myself in the shoes of you, the listener, right now, warning bells are probably ringing.
Oh, for sure.
Or at least they should be ringing in the next narrative beat. Because the smokescreen you're talking about starts looking a lot like a threat.
Yeah, the ice cream shop.
Yes. The very next day, the girl and her friend are standing outside an ice cream shop, and the same 50-year-old man approaches them.
Right.
He buys them ice cream, claiming it's an apology for bumping into her yesterday.
Yeah.
And they accept it.
Which is, a bit strange.
Very strange. And this sparks a daily routine. This older stranger starts giving her study tips, sharing her tiffin, which is like her home-cooked packed lunch, and constantly asking questions about her single mother.
Yeah, that's where it gets heavy.
From a modern lens, this is a giant red flag.
Huge red flag.
Right, it feels like grooming.
Yeah.
It feels like the setup for a true crime documentary where the narrator says, and she never saw it coming.
You're touching on the exact tension the narrative relies on there. We bring our own societal anxieties to the text.
Definitely.
We are culturally conditioned to view an older male stranger taking an intense, unprompted interest in a young woman as highly predatory.
Because it usually is.
Exactly. We live in an era of hyper-awareness regarding personal boundaries. The text knows this. It knows you're waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Yeah.
But then it introduces a variable to actively counter that anxiety, which is the mother's validation.
Right. Because for her birthday, the man sends her absolute favorite item to her house.
Such a specific detail.
It is. And the note says, may your dreams always fly high. From a friend who is happy seeing your success. Happy birthday.
Yeah.
The girl tells her mother everything about this guy. And instead of calling the police, the mother says, good people are hard to find.
Which is just shocking.
I have to be honest, that part made me scratch my head. I mean, if someone did that to my kid, I'm locking the doors.
Totally. And that cognitive friction is entirely intentional. Think
Mhm.
about the mechanics of trust. We rely on the authority figures in our lives to calibrate our danger sensors. By having the protective figure of the mother essentially bless this interaction based entirely on the girl's glowing reviews of his paternal nature, the author artificially lowers the audience's guard.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the mother's reaction forces the reader to second guess their own true crime paranoia. It tells us, no, look, even the protective mother thinks this is fine.
Wow, that's clever.
And notice the man's behavior when the girl asks why he didn't come inside for the party. He says giving the gift was more important than his presence.
Right.
He centers her joy, not his ego. It's a calculated move to cement him as a selfless mentor in your mind, completely neutralizing the predatory vibe.
It totally neutralizes it. We get comfortable with this quirky, wholesome dynamic. But then the text completely shatters that comfort.
Yes, it does.
The girl's friend, who is really just collateral damage in all this,
Yeah.
discovers some dark, illegal activities being run by local thugs.
Yeah.
They beat her brutally and put her in the hospital, and they threaten to kill her if she talks.
Terrifying.
Completely. The girl, terrified, cries to this older mentor. He listens, tells her not to worry, and says he'll handle it. And this is where the entire genre of the story flips on its head.
The transition from passive observer to active participant.
It's not just active participation, though. It's total domination.
Right.
A few days later, those same terrifying thugs show up at the hospital. But they aren't threatening anyone. They are bowing, scraping, and apologizing profusely.
It's a huge shift.
They pay the hospital bills. The text reveals this 50-year-old guy tracked them down, severely beat them, and entirely shut down their criminal enterprise.
Which is just unbelievable.
That is an absurd leap.
Huh.
We go from a guy critiquing a home-cooked lunch to Jason Bourne dismantling a syndicate.
Exactly.
If you're that college girl, your brain has to short-circuit. Like, how do you reconcile those two identities?
You are hitting on the mechanics of extreme competence, which is a massive thematic shift in the story. This isn't just about a guy throwing a good punch. To force an organized criminal syndicate to grovel and pay hospital bills requires systemic terror.
Right. He didn't just win a bar fight.
Exactly. It requires dismantling their infrastructure, their confidence, and their power dynamics entirely. This raises an important question for you as the listener to consider.
Which is?
What kind of person possesses the specific, dangerous skill set required to do that silently in a matter of days without police involvement?
Someone highly trained. Someone who operates completely outside normal societal rules.
Precisely. The text is shifting our understanding of power. We thought the power dynamic was older mentor and young student.
Right.
Now, we realize the dynamic is highly lethal operator and civilians. He didn't just protect them. He fundamentally altered their reality by removing a threat they thought was insurmountable.
That's intense.
But the crucial part is his restraint. He uses extreme violence, but only surgically, to restore safety. He doesn't boast about it at all.
Which is exactly what finally brings the mother directly into the picture.
Yeah.
She hears about this one-man army who saved the kids, and naturally, she wants to invite him over for coffee to thank him.
Makes sense.
You'd think a guy who just played superhero would take the free coffee and the praise. But he aggressively dodges the invitation.
He really does.
He makes up excuses. He outright refuses to meet the mother. So the mother, probably frustrated and deeply curious at this point, follows her daughter to secretly check him out.
The collision course that the entire story has been building toward.
Here's where it gets really interesting. She spies on him talking to her daughter. She finally sees his face, and there is no gratitude.
None at all.
There is instant, visceral shock and rage. Because this lethal protector, this ice cream buying mentor, is not a stranger.
No, he's not.
He is the mother's estranged husband. He is the girl's father. All those little questions about her mother's cooking the specific favorite birthday gift. It wasn't a creepy stranger gathering intel.
Right.
It was a father desperate for a connection to the family he lost.
It instantly recontextualizes every single interaction in the story.
Mind-blowing.
It really is. But to really understand the gravity of that moment on the street, we have to examine the mechanism of their separation. Like, why was he estranged?
The source material is brutally clear on this. He was the head of a military ammunition factory.
A huge position.
A position requiring immense technical knowledge and absolute security clearance. But he was court-martialed. He was accused of the highest crime imaginable in that context, selling weapons to enemy nations.
Treason.
Treason. He was convicted and sentenced to life in prison. When the mother found out her husband was a traitor, she broke all ties, took their young daughter, and vanished to start a new life.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, this is a profound exploration of how institutional failure completely obliterates familial trust.
Definitely.
We really need to pause and look at the mother's position with deep empathy because it touches on a psychological phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance.
Wait, how does cognitive dissonance play into her leaving him? Wasn't it just a clear-cut moral choice? He's a traitor, so she leaves.
Well, it's much deeper than that. Treason isn't like a crime of passion or a financial misdeed.
Right.
Treason implies that your fundamental core values are compromised. When the state, this massive, authoritative, supposedly infallible institution like the military, holds a tribunal and declares that the man you share a bed with is a monster who sold out his country, your brain literally cannot hold both realities.
Oh, wow.
You cannot believe the institution is right and your husband is a good man. The friction between those two ideas is cognitive dissonance.
I see.
To survive that psychological trauma, to protect her child, the mother had to rewrite her entire marriage in her head. She had to convince herself that every kind thing he ever did was a manipulation, a cover for his treason.
Wow. So she didn't just walk away. She had to surgically remove her love for him to survive the reality the government handed her.
Exactly.
She spent 10 years raising a daughter, looking over her shoulder, believing her entire past was built on a terrifying lie.
Yes. She built a new identity as the heroic single mother who saved her child from a monster. But the true horror of this narrative and the ultimate tragedy is that her new reality, the one she suffered for 10 years to build, was the actual lie.
Because the text reveals the agonizing truth. He didn't do it.
He didn't.
He was completely, unequivocally innocent. After a decade in a military prison, the tribunal realized their colossal mistake. They exonerated him, cleared his name entirely, and honorably reinstated him to a high military post.
It's just devastating.
But they stole 10 years of his life. And the story notes that upon his release, he didn't seek revenge against the military. He didn't even go back to work. He went straight to New York to find his family.
Which brings us to the explosive climax, the emotional payload of the story.
It is so intense. The day after the mother spots him on the street, she is furious. She grabs her daughter, storms into the man's house, and just unloads on him. She is screaming, demanding he never come near her daughter again. And you have to picture the daughter in this moment.
Her poor daughter.
Right. Her brain is already fracturing from learning this guy is her dad, and now her mother is attacking him.
It's the ultimate pressure test for the father. After 10 years of false imprisonment, he is being verbally abused by the wife who abandoned him for the crime of trying to protect their child.
Yeah.
Human nature dictates that he should scream back, he should lash out.
But he doesn't. And this is the turning point. He doesn't match her anger. He stays completely calm and simply produces the documents.
The paperwork.
He hands his furious wife the absolute, undeniable physical proof of his exoneration. The military records, the reinstatement, the total clearing of his name.
Right.
So what does this all mean? If you are that mother and you are holding a piece of paper that proves the government lied, and you spent 10 years hating an innocent man, how do you not just collapse under the weight of that guilt?
It's unimaginable.
She abandoned him to rot in a cell alone while he was innocent.
The text focuses heavily on the raw catharsis of that exact realization.
Yeah.
The mother doesn't argue. The evidence is irrefutable. She breaks down, weeping in immense guilt, and embraces him.
Wow.
The daughter is overwhelmed with joy that this invincible protector is actually her father. And the father, despite a decade of unimaginable hardship, sheds tears of joy. But I actually want to push back on the mother's guilt for a second.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the real marvel here is the father's methodology.
I was going to ask about that, because part of me feels like, wasn't his approach incredibly manipulative?
Right, that's the question.
He secretly infiltrates his daughter's life. He hides his identity. He lies by omission for weeks, maybe months. If someone did that in real life, wouldn't we call that deceptive and controlling?
Sure.
Why didn't he just knock on the door with the exoneration papers on day one?
That is a phenomenal question, and it speaks to the core genius of his character.
Yeah.
Think about his background.
Some military stuff?
Exactly. He ran an ammunition factory. He understands volatile materials. I look at his approach through the metaphor of defusing a bomb.
Oh, I like that.
If he had just kicked down the front door on day one, slapped the military documents on the table, and said, "I'm back and I'm innocent," the shockwave would have completely destroyed his daughter's reality.
Because it's just too much all at once.
Right. The mother would have been instantly crushed by a decade of unwarranted guilt, and the daughter would have been terrified by a stranger demanding her love.
So the truth itself was a bomb.
Exactly. The truth was too heavy to drop all at once without destroying the very family he wanted to save. So he had to meticulously snip the wires of their distrust one by one.
Wow.
He couldn't rely on his title as father because that title had been poisoned by the treason charge. He had to prove his character in a vacuum.
That completely reframes the beginning of the story.
It really
The
does.
ice cream,
It-
the study tips,
Mm.
complimenting the tiffin. It wasn't grooming. It was him painstakingly building a foundation of positive equity.
Yes.
He was allowing his daughter to judge him on his current observable merits, his kindness, his patience, his protection, rather than the label of traitor or even father.
He proved his love through action before demanding it by title.
That's beautiful.
He showed her he was a good man when it came to a drop stack of books, and he showed her he was a fierce protector when it came to a violent crime syndicate.
Yeah.
By the time the mother storms in and the truth is revealed, the daughter already knows, in her bones, that this man is good. He engineered a soft landing for a devastating truth.
That is just incredible.
It requires a level of emotional intelligence and profound resilience that most people simply do not possess.
That is an incredible way to look at it.
Yeah,
He absorbed all the pain, all the waiting, and all the misunderstanding just to make sure they were safe when the truth finally came out.
absolutely.
It's restorative justice, but enacted on a purely interpersonal level. The military cleared his legal name, but he had to clear his own soul with his family.
And it highlights a really unsettling reality about how fragile our personal histories are. We rely so heavily on external validation from the state, from courts, from rumors, to tell us who the people in our lives really are.
We really do. We've gone on quite a journey today.
Sure.
We started with a drop stack of books on a bustling New York sidewalk, moved through the brutal takedown of a local crime ring, and ended up unpacking the psychological fallout of a military tribunal and the agonizing process of a family trying to heal from a decade-long lie.
It's a lot.
It's a narrative that forces you to constantly reevaluate your assumptions about power, trust, and the hidden mechanisms of human behavior.
It strips away our reliance on first impressions.
It absolutely does. And that brings us to our final thought for today. Think about the mother in this story.
Right?
Think about her absolute unwavering certainty that her husband was a traitor for 10 long years. Her entire reality, her identity as a resilient single mother, her daily decisions, it was all built on a verdict that turned out to be completely fundamentally false.
Yeah.
It was reality mandated by an institution that made a massive mistake.
Her entire world was a fiction.
Exactly. And it makes you wonder what absolute truths or deep-seated judgments in your own life might just be a missing piece of paper or a delayed conversation away from being completely rewritten.
That's a heavy thought.
Think about someone you've cut off or a deeply held belief you have about someone's character based on what you were told by an authority figure. What if the thing you are most certain of right now is just a story missing its final chapter?
It's a deeply uncomfortable yet totally necessary question to ask ourselves.
It really is. Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. We'll be back next time to explore another fascinating stack of sources. But until then, keep questioning the narrative and maybe give the benefit of the doubt the next time someone bumps into you and drops your books. Take care, everyone.